we're live. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, okay. So, we are on episode 5.
4, 5.
5.
4, 5. 5.
5. Because...
5.
Yeah, 5. Episode 5 we're on. So, unfortunately, I couldn't get an episode out last week because I was doing exam work. Well, I did have an exam, but there's probably more the fact that I was lazy and watching too much MDL. So, didn't get one out last week, but in replacement, we will do 2 this week. We'll get this one, and then there'll be 1 later on in the week, generally, probably near that Saturday time that I normally upload. So, this is a double week for me to keep up with the schedule. So, without further ado, I don't think I have too much more to explain. I'm back again, joined by third-time participant, 16 Sism, Mr. Joe. How are you?
Yeah. I'm okay. You guys should donate to me so I can get a webcam.
Yep, you should. You should definitely donate to this man. Give him a webcam. When is your birthday? It's coming up, isn't it? Is that too much information? Disclose it.
Look.
What month? Give us a month.
It's June, guys.
Give the community... Okay, so it's June.
I'll open up a PO box. Guys can send me a ton of webcams. I'll choose which one's the best one.
Yeah. You should start an Amazon gift page. You know, like all the Twitch definitely streamers do.
Yeah, I mean, I carry this podcast, so...
Yeah, that's true, you do. So, yeah. We'll get that one. Link in the description for his donation page, his Venmo, or whatever the hell it's called.
Be there, guys.
And we'll get him a webcam at some point so you can stop looking at his red eyes. However, I do think that photo is pretty good, so it's not the worst compromise.
Zoomed it in a little bit today, guys.
Yeah.
So if you're like, damn, like that looks different. That's why.
Yeah. Well, you know, we got to change things up every time. It's got to be fresh and new for this podcast.
A little bit of spice.
I'm sure everybody's sick and tired of looking at me, the only one that's changing. So I thought, you know what, I'll change up the red eyes, man. So there we go. So it's a duo podcast today, as you could probably tell, considering that, well...
Yeah, if you can count, 1, 2.
Yeah, 1, 2.
Okay,
you can count.
duo.
Do math, basic math. It'll be 2. So we'll get right into it. We'll go with the normal schedule, which means we'll be talking about the classical little MDL scene. We're not going to talk about that stuff. So we're going straight into MDL. Now, a lot of things happened last week, Joe. A lot of things, mate. Okay.
A lot of things.
Yeah, it was great. Now, can I actually remember the dates? What week was it?
I mean, they're right ahead of you, so.
So I'm gonna say
that was last week.
From Jesus, let's find this Paradox game. Where is it? Should have found this before I started the podcast. Here it is. Here we go. All right, so it started from this point here, ladies and gentlemen, the Paradox game. Now, this was the start of a very eventful week for Tainted Minds. I think they'd probably describe it more as painful, but nonetheless, it happened. It occurred. So they started off the week with losing to Paradox 16-7. Now, I saw a lot of people, Joe, they were saying, it's a huge upset this is. But what they didn't realise is that Paradox here were the team that won the LPL Cyber Gamer LAN in New Zealand that just happened, which was against Genuine and... Oh, geez. Do I remember the other teams? I don't remember the other teams. I think Atletico, Genuine, one other team was there. Forgive me, I can't remember. Regardless, Paradox won it in pretty convincing fashion in the final at the very least. So they're coming off a hot streak. Tainted Minds are not on a hot streak at all. I'm going to click open this team right now so you can see what I'm talking about here. This is what I want, not the page. So, the reason I would say that this doesn't work is, or the rumours anyway, has been that this team is not gelling well together at all, Joe. They're not the best of teammates, and it's not been working out, and they're not, their play styles are not gelling well together. Now,
how long have they been together for?
This is their first season together, so this year, January, I think. Actually, it might have started late last year in December. So the very end of the last season.
You're just dogging them out straight away?
I am not going to, because this team, I feel like, should be good on paper. You got Sicko here, who is an insane AWPer from Order. You got Ustillo, who should be the veteran experience that Tainted Minds need. Ofnu, Zusi, and APOC. Again, APOC was one of the best players in the AU region at the time. Excuse me. And it just feels like on paper this team should be very good, but it's not working out whatsoever. And I think the big problem that you're generally going to see when it comes to this team is, if we have a look at the frags here, so actually in this one it's Ustillo that's top fragging, but generally, from what I've seen in their losses, he's been pretty damn close to the bottom of the scoreboard. It's not been good for Tainted Minds. 16-7 a Paradox, probably not an upset if you were following the Cybergamer LAN. It's definitely predictable, but still, I feel like it's fair to say that a brand like Tainted Minds should not be losing to a team like Paradox. That is I'm not trying to throw flame on Paradox or whatever, or shade, should I say. Flame's probably the opposite of that. I'm not trying to throw shade on Paradox, but it's Tainted Minds. For the longest time they've been number 3, number 4, number 2 even in Australia, and now, yeah, exactly. And now you're losing to, a lot of teams who were sort of chomping at the bit there. I would say it's more likely now that you place Tainted Minds in the top 8 rather than top 4. I think there's a whole bunch of teams that are now going to be climbing for that top 4 position, and I think these results will say.
Do you think it's a form slump, or do you think the actual team just isn't?
I think that lineup will not work. I don't think that lineup is going to work. I don't think they gel well enough. The way they play with each other is just, there's a lot of mistakes that happen in these games, and it's just not. I mean, when you're consistently losing to opponents like Paradox and Avant, it's not a good sign, because it means, okay, well, now we have to place Avant, Atletico even though they beat Atletico, and Paradox above that Tainted Minds roster. So now we get, don't get me wrong, it's interesting, right? Because normally you see that top 4 and it's like, oh Jesus, here we go again. It's top 4 and then everyone else in Australia. But now, at the very least, we're getting
shifting.
Yeah, we're getting that shift, right? Where,
and it's not like it's just one team's replacing them. It's like there's a bunch of teams that can contend for that vacant spot. Exactly.
So it's like, it is interesting, right? Because now it's like, oh, well, now who's getting, especially when you think about IEM Sydney, which is coming up. This gives a serious opportunity for a team like Avant or a team like Paradox to make it into IEM Sydney. How crazy would that be if you saw Paradox in IEM Sydney? That would be insane. And the way they're doing the qualifier this year, which is, I think, 2 separate ones now, which is ESL Pro League will have what's it called? I think it's called the Derby, Australian Derby or something like that, which is the top 4 teams from the ESL Pro League in Australia will play each other for a position at IEM Sydney, and then if you don't make it through that one, then you go through the IEM Sydney Australian qualifier, right? So there's different opportunities. So there's a very high chance now you're going to get to see a team like that get through, and that would be really cool.
I mean, yeah, it's not exactly a bad thing. It's just not expected, and it shouldn't even be a situation right now. Yeah,
it's not a bad thing. It's just, in context of what Tainted Minds is, it's really bad form from them, and I don't think they're going to be able to fix that with this roster. I think that right now, Avant and Paradox are pretty clearly above Tainted Minds, at least in the current results now, and I personally do not see this Tainted Minds team getting back into that top 4 at this current moment.
Well, how long have we got until those qualifiers?
So the qualifiers for IEM Sydney, well, the non-Australian ones are actually being played now. So, I think it's I don't think it's too far away, right? Let's have a look, see if we can find them. Because if you have a look in matches, you will see that...
ESL India.
Yeah, well, ESL India League. That's going really well. I wonder how Optic's going. Oh, wait. So you could see the IEM Sydney North American qualifier was played recently, which would lead me to believe that the other qualifiers are not far behind. So this is the Open qualifier. So Swole Patrol and Bad News Bears have made it through. Who on earth is on Bad News Bears? I feel like I'm going on a bit of tangent here, but I want to see who the hell's on this team.
Damn, an unknown player, a ghost.
A ghost and Peter. Okay. It's been a long time since I've seen Peter again, but fair enough. Well, regardless, I don't think it's too far away. Actually, we can just go here and check this out. So let's see. So IEM Sydney North American closed qualifier was February 6th to 8th. European qualifier is 6th to 8th. Where's the... So I think this counts. So February 10th, I think that's when that starts. Trying to find when exactly this occurs. Here we go. This is the East Asia one.
That's a while. What's that? Next month.
Oceania. Here it is. So March 30th to the 31st.
2 months away.
So 2 months away is the IEM Sydney qualifier.
I mean, that's enough time for them to get form back. But
it's definitely enough time for them to get form back if that's the problem. However, do they have enough time?
It's just them meshing.
I don't think that's the roster to do it. I just don't think that's it. I think that it's just not enough going on right now in that roster. For whatever reason, those players are not playing well together. So it's definitely enough time for them to get their form back. And if they're going to go for that option, then I feel like as soon as that qualifier happens, I feel like it would be fair to say whatever the results that Tainted Minds score there are what their results are going to be for the future of that roster. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it just depends what the actual problem is, and I guess they go from there. Like, they still are like a newish team. Like you're saying, what, max they've been together for what, 2 months? 2-3 months?
Yeah, 2-3 months, max.
But even then, like, that's just such a trend now for fucking CSGO teams and esports teams in general. It's just staying together for a couple months. The owners don't like it for whatever reason and switch the lineup straight away. Whereas teams don't really get a chance to mesh anymore. It's just you're chucked in, you either have chemistry and you get results, or you don't, and you're...
Yeah, I mean, you only have to look at the roster moves that happened last year, mate. There was loads of them. 3 months is a pretty damn long amount of time. I don't think this roster's been together for that long. I think it'd probably be close for 2 months. Yeah. I would feel more comfortable saying. But still, do you know what I mean? Like, you're getting to that point where if you're not getting results, it's probably time to change that roster around, or it wouldn't be abnormal to do that in this scene at this time.
It's definitely not.
So
that would be the normal.
Yeah, so I think that's the big story. Obviously, Chiefs still playing really well. 16-9 against Tainted Minds. I know that a lot of people are saying, online, Order are the best team in AU. Or not the best team, the second best team AU, right? If you go off their online results. So, again, Order versus Chiefs is a serious matchup you want to see, because you want to know, okay, well, online, how are Chiefs doing right now? Because in my personal opinion, they're number 2. I think if you look at LAN results, which I feel like you should do, even in the Australian region, LAN results should mean more than online results. I know we don't have as many LANs here, but still, it should mean more. It doesn't
really matter regardless. Yeah. LAN should always mean more than online.
Those are your big events, right? So if you're winning those, that should put you above in the rankings, right? So I know people want to say...
These qualifiers, are they played LAN or online?
I think the closed qualifier is LAN. I think. Because I know for a fact that the ESL Derby is a LAN tournament.
Yeah.
So I would imagine the closed qualifier will be one as well, because all the others are so. So I just feel like right now, Chiefs, because of those LAN results, deserve to be that number 2 spot. And I know people will say, oh, well, Order are undefeated so many seasons in MDL online. That's great, mate, but that's online. When it comes to a LAN tournament, which is what personally I care about, Chiefs are going to win.
Like on LAN?
I think Chiefs have way better LAN results than Order do in recent history. In fact, the only problem is, right, in the Australian region is that recently it's been Greyhounds that haven't been able to attend these events, right? So you haven't been able to see Chiefs versus Tainted Minds. I mean, Chiefs versus Greyhound on LAN, right? I'm pretty certain that Chiefs have LAN wins over Order. So in my personal opinion, I know they definitely have more LAN wins, LAN tournament wins than Order do. So until we can get ESL Pro League coming up, where we can get these two teams regularly playing each other.
That seems that might set the scene for at least a decent amount for this year.
Yeah, because we're going to get a LAN at the end of that ESL Pro League as well, which again would show, where these teams stage. So it's very interesting to see that. Personally, my pick is going to be Chiefs. I feel like their results are better than Order. I know they're good online, but that's what I can see. So that's a really fun matchup there, Order versus Chiefs. Another really fun...
So what is the ladder looking like now then?
See, this is where it's complicated, right? Because I would say I don't count Renegades for people that do. That's fine, but I think they're a North American team, mate. They have Australian players, but they play in North American region. Exactly. So I'm not going to count them. So Greyhounds at number 1, Chiefs at number 2, Order at number 3, and then at that number 4 spot, this is when it gets interesting. I think, which I was just about to talk about, the next really good matchup to make here is Paradox versus Avant. Two teams that are both beaten Tainted Minds. I think you play those two together right now, and we can see where we're looking at for that number 4 spot. Because my pick is Avant or Paradox for number 4. So, I think that's a great matchup. I think that GZ versus Atletico is probably a good matchup, again, to see. I know that the Mad Light Wizards game was won by them, but I think that's where you have to put that's where you have to put GZ, should I say, sorry. And then Breakaway as well, I think, are in that mix with GZ and Atletico. Because obviously you can see here the results. Breakaway beating Atletico down there. So, and they they also beat Paradox, which is pretty impressive. So again, there's another team right there, Breakaway. So maybe we have Breakaway, Avant, and Paradox that are competing for that number 4 spot. So exciting stuff for the MDL region, for the Australian region in general. I think there's a lot of good matchups right now, and it's a very exciting time to watch because there's so many top level teams right now that could all beat each other, and it's really interesting to see where they're all going to stack out and fit next to each other in this current ranking system that we have now.
I mean, well, it's good in general that just AU, even esports in general, I guess, is actually becoming more competitive.
Yeah.
And there is some coverage of it, some actual coverage of it.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's been really, really good so far this season, anyway. And I think there's a lot of things to look forward to. So I think most Australian MDL watchers, or just CS watchers in general, will be very excited over the next couple of months when it comes to this scene. So a good segue away from that.
I am Sydney as well.
Yeah, but I think the next big thing right now on everybody's minds is obviously the next major, because where I left off last podcast, I believe Greyhounds were one map away from qualifying, and they managed to do it. They came out on top of, I believe it was Vichy. They managed to beat them. And now we have I think this is the first time. No, actually, because we would have had Immunity and Renegades in the major at one point. So, first time in a long while that we've had 2 Australian teams in the major. Renegades and Greyhounds are now both in. You're going to get those Dick Stacey stickers so we can all stop talking about it now.
How does that work then? How the teams get in? Because did some get in through tournaments and others through regions, or?
So this right here that we're looking at is the main qualifier. So it used to be the major qualifier. Because so now this is technically a part of the major, and they call this the main qualifier stage, which brings you into what we would look at as the major, which is the group stages, the playoffs, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the way you get into this is you qualify through a minor. So both the Australian teams went through the Asian minor, and then Vichy went through. What they did was, if you came third place in your qualifier, which I believe was
another minor.
Yeah, they had another qualifier afterwards, where the third place from each region, so the Americas, the CIS, the European, and the Asian region, those 4 teams would play each other, and the top 2 made it through into the last 2 spots of the major. So that was Vichy and Windstrike that made it through that system. And who was it that got knocked out? I believe it was MV and the European team, which would have been... I don't remember. Well, regardless, doesn't matter. So this is our qualifying teams. The big story here for me is we're going to get to see how Greyhounds are going to play at this level of CS.
International stage,
right. Yeah. So, personally, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for them to make it into the qualifier, to make it into the actual major itself, or the Legends stage. Jesus, I really should remember what the actual stages are called, because I just sort of wing it and assume that it's the Legends stage. But the second stage of the major, the one that was the major before they made all these ridiculous changes. One thing that I saw which was a bit disheartening was when they qualified through, Dick Stacey did an interview where they were asking him what's the go from now on out. I know you guys are going to be celebrating, but what's the practice resume or regiment? I believe is the word. What are you going to be doing to get ready for this tournament? And he kind of very nonchalantly just sort of said, I think we achieved what we wanted to, and we're probably just going to be partying for the next few weeks, just celebrating. And I was like, I don't know. For me, that's a bit disheartening. It's like, okay, but
isn't that? That's
yeah. Why is I know you haven't qualified before, but surely these are opponents that you could beat if you try hard enough. You could definitely beat this. Why does the goal have to be get into the main qualifier?
Could it not be that though? Like, AUCS isn't at, because I feel like if that was any other team, they'd be like, we're going to boot camp or whatever, or we're going to really knuckle down, and try and make sure we maintain this form or whatever. Maybe he just doesn't know what to do, what they would be doing at this point, because what AU teams have really got to this point besides Renegades? There's not been a huge pull. It just, for me, it was disheartening because this is where it begins for me. I think that Greyhounds are the favourites to get through that Asia minor, right? Apart from Renegades, those are the 2 top teams to make it through. Now that Tai Lu wasn't there, Renegades and Greyhounds should have made it through. This is no upset. This is no huge achievement. You should have made it through. You survived, and you did. So, in my opinion, this is a group of, especially this, this main qualifier here. This is a group of opponents that you could beat. You could definitely beat these guys. So, it's just a little bit like,
okay, it's not over yet, guys. You know, you got to keep going. Let's see how you can. Okay, let's beat, you know, Furia. Let's beat Avangard. Let's beat Spirit. Let's beat Vici. So 8 of these teams make it through. You know what I mean? 8 of these teams make it through. So can we find 8 teams that Greyhounds can beat here? I think Furia's probably beatable. I think that Avangard's probably beatable. I think Spirit's probably beatable. I think that Tyloo are probably beatable. So that's 4. I think Vici are beatable. You beat them already. I think Windstrike are beatable. So there you got 6. I think you could beat Vega Squadron, which is 7. So you need 1 more. I mean, Vitality are pretty weak right now. Fnatic are definitely weak to upsets. Cloud9 have a bit of a shaky roster. This is a pool of players, of teams that you can beat. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's unrealistic to say that it could be possible that we could have 2 Australian teams make it through to the second stage. So why do we have to? Why? I just don't like the idea that we're giving up now.
I mean, well, have you seen anything else? Because they could be doing that now.
Yeah, I guess. It
could have just been like a spur of the moment thing, like.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I think it does come down to experience and stuff as well, and I don't know how elite the orgs are right now, because especially in Australia, like Renegades is really the only actual org that is big, I would say.
Yeah.
All the other ones are still, I'd say they're still building and growing as the scene grows with it as well.
Yeah.
Because I just think everything, like, I feel the other orgs always have, you know, we get through, then we do this, and then we do this, and we do this, and we've got our plans, and we've got schedules and everything to maintain. Whereas they probably didn't know what they were going to do after they won, or if they won.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe this is when they now figure out how they maintain form, become more consistent, what kind of boot camps and training they do before, I guess, a major event like this at this, you know, international level.
Mm.
Because like you said, didn't you say it was like their first time that an AU team besides Renegades has made it this far?
It's the first time that Greyhounds are qualified, so I think Immunity and Renegades have both made it through to the major before. So
yeah, so Greyhounds the next number 2 for Australia. So I guess it could just be them trying to figure out what they actually do once they get to this point. So
on this team, I think only Dexter has been in the major before. So with that being said, though, I mean, so last year IEM Sydney, they were taking maps off a pretty decent MIBR, or were they SK at that point? I think they were SK. So it's not impossible for me that they can beat teams at this stage, and I just hope that the mentality for those players is not we've done what we needed to do. I think that you have
pushing themselves more.
You have a
because you know you can get this far now. Why not try and take it further?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I agree. I mean, I think it'd be a waste if they would just be like, you know, like, we made it this far, we've got what we wanted, what our goal was.
Exactly.
But it all just depends on what's going on internally in the org and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know too much about the scene at the moment, but I think it'd be silly for them to be like, we've made our goal. Yeah. That's it. Happens from now on.
I just feel like, you know, over the last few majors, there's been teams that have been in that playoff stage that you did not expect to be there. This is now an era of Counter-Strike where this tier 2 teams are all very competitive with each other, and there's a lot of upsets that happen. I want to shoot for the stars when I think about these teams, right? I just want to think about, okay, let's say they make it through this qualifier. Okay, let's say they get good matchups in the groups. It's not an impossible situation that you could see Renegades or even Greyhounds in a playoff of a major. It is not impossible at this point in the game. So That is what I feel like they need to be aiming for. I hope they are. I'm not involved in the nuance of it, so I don't know. But I just hope that they are going to take this seriously here, and they're going to say, okay, we should have qualified. We have qualified. Now the work begins. Now we have to do the next stage.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the beginning. It's not the end. It's the beginning. So that's the point that I was, trying to make when it comes to this lineup. I think this is a very beatable playing field. So I hope, and I really wish the best for these guys. This is going to start on the 13th of February, which is not long away whatsoever. Or not far away, should I say. That in fact, that is a week away on the Wednesday when this starts. So, I wish the boys the best of luck. And I really hope you guys can make it through. And I'm sure I'll be talking about it again on this podcast before it happens. But, let's go. Let's go all the fucking way, Let's get some real results for Australian CS for once. So that's pretty much it for the main qualifier. I do need to probably address the most recent thing that I talked a little bit of shit about in the previous episode. So there was the E-League finals or something like that. Let me try and find the results for this.
Something like that.
I was talking about it in the last one. Here it was. Here we go. E-League CSGO Invitational. That's what it was called. Right, so I talked a little bit of shit in this because in the group stages, FaZe, as you can see here, lost to Cloud9 2-0, which I thought was a hilarious affair, considering obviously it's God King Emperor Nepo. God King fucking Nico over there on FaZe, who's ruling the world, doing whatever the hell he wants, because that's how it works over there in FaZe now. And they lose to Cloud9. I just thought that was a bit of poetic justice. However, the pool wasn't huge, because they then have to play Complexity, who they 2-0, and then from that they have to play Big 2-1. That's not a bad result. Big are definitely a good team right now with their current lineup with Tabson in it. So not a bad result. And then you go into the final against Cloud9, which is a 2-1 win for FaZe. So they do win it. It's not a huge pool. They do win it. I thank God for Yanko, because I feel like that man is just walking into, hell right now, trying to deal with all these garbage end of the, string lineups that they keep putting him on. And now he's got to have to deal with this. And I just feel like, even though they win this tournament, this does not give me any real hope whatsoever for the major. I think that they're going to get spanked by those high-level teams. I think this means less good things than it does bad things.
So what if Cloud9 won it then?
If Cloud9 won it, I would have said the same thing. I would have said the same thing, but worse. I think if Cloud9 won this, then it would have been really bad for them. But 2-1 in Cloud9 is not great. Like, if you look at that Cloud9 roster, it's not a world beater, mate. It's not a world beater. So,
but is FaZe considered?
Well, they should be.
Yeah, well, it should be, but
Guardian, Nico, Rain. It's like, this is an all-star lineup. Olafmeister, previous major winner.
Previous best player.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just feel like this is not a good sign whatsoever for this major coming up, and I feel like there's quite a lot of teams at that high level that could beat them. Even in this qualifier, mate, I think NRG right now are probably a much safer bet than FaZe. I think NIP right now are a much better choice than FaZe. I think Tyloo are a very good team for that upset. I think Fnatic could probably beat them. We've already seen Cloud9 do it, so maybe they can as well. And then that leaves the door open for our Australian brethren. We've upset teams before. Can we do it again? It's like FaZe are very weak right now, and I think it's going to be a struggle for them to get through that group phase. I think they're very vulnerable to these upset matches right now with the way they currently play, which is basically hope that either Guardian or Nico headshots everyone.
Well, someone explodes, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that they're very weak right now to upsets, and it wouldn't surprise me if they do not do well in this major whatsoever. This is not a great result going into that major. Even though it's a win, I know it's a tournament win. The results and the scores say otherwise, in my opinion. So, leading on from that, after the big performance at the E-League tournament, it'll be Smooya, who decides to step down before the major, and rather than just playing the major for the sticker money, he decides, nah, I'm out. I'm going to go play for Denial.
I mean, that's pretty... I mean, how's that? Benching yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really something. I don't really know how he's thought this one out. This is really bad.
Well, he must have really been hating everything for a long time.
He's like, I don't want to make easy money. I just want to leave these Germans and go back home.
Got the boys this far, I'm out.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, this is bad.
And it's not even like a personal, that would be a personal accolade as well, and you're robbing yourself of that opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, surely something as big has happened here.
It defies all logic that he would leave.
Because it's not like leaving actually does anything for him personally. Besides, unless he's extremely depressed in his team and it's just not working out. But
yeah, I don't know. The thing is, right, is that I don't believe it's completely out of the wheelhouse of the Rat King to do something like this. I just feel like Smooya makes some stupid-ass decisions. He really does. And I think this is just another one of them. And now he's playing on Denial, which is ex-Bravado, a bunch of Brazilians, or South American players, South African even. Who, I mean...
There you go.
Let's actually have a look at that, because that is unbelievable if that's real. Because I heard Denial's ex... It's on here somewhere. Smooya to fill in for Denial. For the IEM Sydney qualifier. Look at this, mate! That is South Africa, isn't it? How is... Okay, so they speak English, I would assume, right?
You would assume.
But so do Germans. So how is this an improvement? This is the most insane move.
Is he trying to make an improvement, though?
I don't know, man. I don't know what his brain's thinking. He's filling in for them, right? But I don't know, man. I don't know. Why? It makes no sense. But whatever. Smooya, 10 out of 10. So the other, I guess, interesting result was see if I can get finished events, because I didn't talk about this last time. It was the iBuyPower event here, which was of semi-notability because, as you can see, Liquid finally beat Astralis. They took the tournament off them. So it's an interesting little line, right? Because obviously a lot of people were thinking, okay, this move that Liquid made to get rid of Taco and their coach Zeus and to bring in Stewie and have Adren ex-Liquid player coach, is it doesn't look on paper like that's an upgrade. However, they come into this tournament and they beat Astralis.
Something's worked.
Yeah, so it looked good, man. They were playing really well.
Where do you think this puts Liquid then?
I think this puts Liquid in a position where it's this is a team right now where they should be one of your favourites to win the major, very clearly. I think they're probably one of the few teams that are going to be able to beat Astralis. It wouldn't surprise me if we get an Astralis Liquid final if the group playoff matches work out the right way. I think these two teams will probably have to face each other off at some point in the playoffs if it isn't the final. So that's going to be a really interesting match to watch, especially because in this grand final, I believe Elige bottom fragged, which is crazy because Elige for the longest time was the best player in North America. And now you can have the best player in North America underperform on your team and still beat Astralis, which is crazy if you think about it. So yeah, I mean, that's a good result for them. And that shakes things up there for the major. Maybe we're not going to see another Face It one where it's just Astralis trashing everyone. Hopefully we get to see Liquid, play a little bit of good CS here and beat out Astralis. That would be a great storyline if they do indeed manage to do that. The curse is broken for them, so this is a good start. Obviously, you should add the Jesus, what's the word for it? You should add the point that obviously this was the iBuyPower tournament. There was a hell of a lot of technical issues. I believe in the group stage, Astralis had to wait for 3 hours and they were close to just saying, oh, we're not going to play it. We just can't be bothered and leaving. So this was not a great tournament. They had the scare about the tournament not checking bags for guns or anything like that. They weren't doing good security checks. They had a threat from some Brazilian on Twitter who said he had a gun in aisle 2B or something. So it wasn't great. They had
just Brazilian banter.
Yeah, they didn't. Apparently, the noise cancelling headphones were non-existent. But Liquid was playing with them too. So I don't know. It's got a caveat there, but that's the word I was looking for before. But I still think that's a good result from Liquid, and I don't think they'll look at it like that. I think they will look at it like we've broken the curse, guys. We've done it. Right before the major, we've broken the curse. We can beat Astralis. So I think that's good tidings right there for Liquid, and I think that breeds a nice little storyline going into the major. So that's the final point that I think we're going to make about CS. So with that, we're now going to move on to the next part of the podcast, which I think we'll start off with a little bit about our boy, 21 Savage. Okay?
Oh, well, your boy now, hey?
Yeah, my boy now. We're from the same streets, me and 21 Savage. Jesus Christ, this is great. This is amazing because I don't know what this means. I really don't know what it means.
Well, because look, even this statement says United Kingdom national.
Yeah.
So
I just think that...
I mean, I just refuse to believe that 21 Savage is from England.
But don't you think it's a hilarious image if he is?
Oh, that'd be an awesome storyline.
Could you imagine the next album that he has to put out explaining this?
It's just like grime.
Yeah, dude, he just does a full pitch switch and it just goes straight into grime. Oh, that would be insane. What if he just comes out? He does like a 60-minute interview or whatever, and he's like sitting there
faking his accent.
Yeah, he's sitting there in the chair, and the interviewer asks the first question. And he just goes, "Oh well, I do say, old chap, it's been a rather rough time for me." Just like some really posh ass English accent. That would be
with a horse.
Yeah, that would be amazing. God save the Queen now, folks. In every single one of his songs at the end, God save the Queen. Just like some ridiculous.
You see, You see Demi Lovato's tweet?
No. What was Demi Lovato's tweet? You link it to me.
Search that one up.
Okay, let's Google.
You want me to try and find something on it?
Lovato. Is it the 21 Savage?
Yeah.
Ooh.
If you spell it right.
Savage. Yeah, if I spell it right. Deletes Twitter comment. There we go. What was it? Let's see. Is this it? FYI.
No, so go back up. It'll say her first tweet. You're blind, mate.
I don't see it. Where is it?
So far, 21 Savage memes have been my favourite part of the Super Bowl.
I'm actually blind.
Cursor down a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Jesus, I can't read at all. Oh, my Lord. So far, okay. Well.
So pretty much she said that, and then everyone was like, coming from a crack addict or some shit, and just making jokes about her addiction and an overdose.
Wow. No chill, internet. No chill.
I mean...
Imagine making a joke about a dude being British, and then everybody's like, well, you're a crack addict! Ah! Like,
well,
what?
I think it's not...
Whoa, chill!
That's probably the joke for us, but I feel like over there it's like he's been arrested and could be facing deportation.
Yeah, but it's still funny though that this is what he's getting. Like, of all the things, could you imagine?
No, I agree.
If a week ago I said to you, "What in a week's time is 21 Savage getting arrested for?" There is no way that you go, "Oh, he's going to be deported for being British." Like, there's no way. It's so insane that this is a real life thing that we are now looking at here. That 21 Savage is actually a man of the Queen.
I love how like all the articles and everything like turning his credibility upside down as well. Like, if you go back up, it's like who claims to be from Atlanta's Zone 6. It's like...
So he moved over when he was a teenager, right? So 2006.
So he moved over
2005.
He moved over 2005. His visa expired 2006.
Right. So how old would he have been? How old is 21 Savage? Let's look. Let's get it.
Up. 21
how
Savage
old
age
is.
So he's 26.
Right.
So that was 13 years ago. 14 years ago. So he was what? 13.
13. Right. So 13 when he moved over. So do we have to reconsider some of his so-called past?
No,
or do you think 13 is young enough to say that you grew up in Atlanta?
Not 13, I think is.
You think? I don't
Still
know.
A kid of 13, man.
Yeah, I guess. But
and
I feel like
he's still gone through. He's been shot. I mean, he's still.
Yeah.
He has a life here, or there, I guess. He's got a life there, so.
But
I mean, I just think it's almost crazy how it's never come up before that he wasn't actually born in America.
Oh, I tell you what, this is amazing though, because the album that he can release now, do you know what I mean? About the 13 years that he spent in either Dominica or UK that he can now talk about. Because he's always talking about how, you know, he's had a horrible life and everybody in his family's been killed, or, you know, that's obviously, I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah, watch what you say, mate.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, what happened in those 13 years? Where's the music about that? That's what I want to know. I remember a little bit about... I'm trying to think of like the earliest memories that I can recall back to you. What do you think is the earliest age you can recall back to? You there?
Yeah. Watch this.
Oh, jeez. What have you found?
It's pretty scuffed audio, but
okay,
pretty good.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, is this the one where he's like saying tea and briskets or whatever? Jeez, hold up. Let me actually try.
That's the one I was trying to find, but
okay. All right, I've got it up, folks. Here you go.
21 Savage, aka the Saint Laurent Don. And tonight we're going to be going to the Saint Laurent show. It's going to be exquisite.
Jesus.
I just flew Vogue in from over there on my helicopter.
Little did you know.
Tagging along with us. Yeah, I love Saint Laurent. I'm the Saint Laurent Don. I'm wearing the Saint Laurent shirt. It ain't out. I feel vibrant, elegant, exquisite. I would probably wear this jacket on my way to have tea, crumpets, on a beautiful Monday morning.
That's amazing. Well, there you go. 21 Savage talking British in a very low volume. Amazing. Really amazing. This is just so good. So, as I was saying before, what's the earliest age that you can recall back to?
I'd say 8, 9.
8, 9. Yeah, I think that's about the same. From maybe a bit younger. I think, yeah. It's definitely early. He's definitely, it's early enough that you can still recall memories, which means...
100%, yeah. He this guy knows,
Yeah. It's more like, does he
does
have...
does that mean that he's an illegal immigrant then?
Yeah, it would be. His visa expired, mate, so he's been here illegally for a long ass time.
What would happen to his assets then? If he gets deported?
Oh, Jesus. I don't know. You'd hope they're overseas, wouldn't you?
But even, everything that he owns in America, what happens to that?
I really don't know, man. I don't know enough about, the details of this sort of thing. He's probably just screwed. How long is what's the prison sentence for that?
I mean, I don't think they can't. I'd assume he just gets deported.
So he just goes back. I mean, I guess he could just go back to Britain and start doing grime music. Dude, this is it. This is exactly how this works. He is now a grime artist. Because if he's definitely screwed here, right? There's no way he can get out of this, is there? I don't think there is.
Of course there is. He's rich. He's got money.
That's true. Probably just pay him off. Anyway. Well, it was nice to think that there was a world in which 21 Savage gets deported, comes to Britain, and just starts dropping mad grime music with Skepta, and it just changes everything. Because I want to hear the album that he says called 13 Years. Do you know what I mean? Or Living a Lie or something like that. Just some crazy... that's what I want from him right now. So I think it's amazing that 21 Savage is not actually originally from Atlanta. So that's cool.
You're really butchering that word, aren't you?
Atlanta.
Well,
isn't that how he says it? Atlanta.
I mean, yeah, that's how he says it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to be down with the culture. You know what I'm saying?
Immersion.
Immersion, bro. It's all about the immersion.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we could talk about some more gaming stuff now that we've done with the 21 Savage being British. So, I have been playing...
You're going to have to give me a brief run through of this as well.
I will. I'll give everyone a brief rundown. So, I've been playing over the past 2 days the Anthem demo, right? Now, don't get me wrong, folks. I'm not the kind of guy that buys EA games the first day they come out. Because I know at this point, after purchasing Battlefront 2, that EA likes to fuck you. So, I don't do that anymore. However, I saw the trailers for Anthem, I saw that the open beta was free, and I thought, you know what, it looks cool. The concept looks cool. I'm going to give it a go. So download the beta, get into this game. The closed beta had a lot of issues, a lot of technical issues, a lot of disconnecting. The open beta, not too much, to be honest. I think the only major bug that I came across was audio sort of just switching off, and then you had to restart it. That was the big major bug that I came across. So for people that don't know, Anthem is essentially a cross between Destiny and Warframe and you're Iron Man. So you're getting a suit, you fly around, you shoot things.
What kind of a suit is it? Is it like a?
It's like an Iron Man suit.
Suit, or
no, it's not a big suit. It's like an Iron Man suit. So it's like a little frame around you or whatever. So there's 4 different suits. You have the Colossal, which is a tank one, which is just a bit like this one here.
What was that game? Where you like piloted the robots or whatever, and it was like multiplayer. Titanfall.
Yeah. So nowhere near as big as those. This is more similar to Warframe's kind of suits, if you remember that. So
yeah.
So 4 different classes: the Colossal, the Ranger, the Interceptor, which is sort of like a rogue. The Ranger's the default, Colossal's the tank, and then the Warlock, which is your sort of mage character-ish. So you're all in a suit and you fly around, you blow things up. So first of all, combat is amazing. It's really, really fun. All the abilities feel really impactful, and you definitely feel like a badass flying around and blowing things up. So that's great. Audio design was pretty good when it didn't break and I couldn't hear anything. World design looked amazing. It was really cool flying around. They had a really nice world there. Visually it was quite good. I think the main thing that me and the people I was playing it with, which is the 2 Sams, just Sam and Connor, was that the customization thing is going to be a big thing for this game if it wants to succeed, in my opinion, because I feel like you're going to want to make sure that there's so much customization in this game that almost everyone has a different suit, because I feel like that's where the playability comes in here, is I want to look completely different to my mates. I don't want to look, even if I'm, not just being a different class, but let's say I'm playing with 4 Warlocks, I want each one of those Warlocks to look completely different. I don't want 2 of the same suit, all right? Because that is how this game's going to play. It's going to be that customization. And that is where the big selling point for me comes in this game, because the combat is great. However, it's made by EA. There was a leak made recently on the Reddit of Anthem that I'll bring up now. Hopefully this is the subreddit for Anthem. It's not. That's always fun. Anthem the game, here it is. So, it'll be the top post, I imagine, of the past month or 2. Jesus Christ, whatever, I'll just go of all time.
Such a...
Is this it?
Just search it, what is it?
It's like a little image that was released of the Anthem leaked leaked market, maybe. Open up a Kotaku article. That'd be a fun one. Okay, where is it? Give me the image, folks.
Don't think that's it, mate.
I'm trying to bring this up, folks. I really am. Well, regardless, whatever. It doesn't matter. I can tell you what it looks like. So, basically, it was an image of the market that was in the game, and it was pricing basically a paint job for a suit at $20, which is a ridiculous price. $20 for a paint job. Something that looks exactly the same as something you can make in the custom game, and they're making you pay $20 for it. So they're saying that this is a trial period and that the prices aren't final, etc., etc. But this is EA we're talking about here. They are the greediest little shits in the entire world, and I just don't believe that they are not trying to fuck us over. I just don't believe it. They're just full of it. Every single time they release a game, Joe, it is the same thing. It's the same thing. They there's a whole bunch of hype behind it. It comes out, it's full of microtransactions, and then they apologize. And if the outcry is big enough, then they'll change it later on. The damage is already done.
They release half games, and they have the microtransactions going to try and keep you interested until they run out of interest and they've got the money they needed and they move on to the next one.
Exactly. So my problem is, Joe, right, is that every time these games come out from EA, right, I'm seeing so many people that are game journalists or, you know, people that are in this scene talking about how excited they are for Anthem. And it really annoys me that it just seems like people forget about all of the shit that EA does.
No, because they're not the average consumer, though.
But it's so annoying. It's like, guys, please.
Yeah, and plus, but they're involved in the politics and all that shit, so...
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I think one of the only people I know that gives actual good reviews is that Joe bloke. What's his name?
Angry
Joe. I know
Joe.
you watch him. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So, it's just hard, man. It's annoying to see. And so I wanted to give a reason for why. So, you know, Joe, I'm quite a big Star Wars fan, mate. Quite a big Star Wars fan. And it's not been great recently. In both the movies and the game genre, it's been real bad. Real bad. So, without talking about the movies, because I'll go on about a 20-year tangent if we talk about that, I want to talk about EA's complete mismanagement of the Star Wars IP. So, they signed a deal with Disney, with Disney, a 10-year deal where they have the rights to the Star Wars IP. Now, in those 10 years, Joe, could you give me a guess on how many games you think they've made?
2, maybe 3.
You're right. You're bang on, buddy. It's 2. We don't count the mobile game, but if you want, then that's 3. So 2 games and a mobile game, which is dog trash. So, oh Jesus, 2 games in the past 5 years of having this IP of Star Wars, which is quite possibly one of the biggest franchises of all time. And you've released 2 games of the exact same style, by the way.
Two games that pretty much the sequel is direct copy of the first.
Exactly. The sequel is oh, sorry guys, we messed up. We released a game that isn't a game, so we're going to give you this now as a makeup. Oh, by the way, we put a whole bunch of microtransactions in that. Okay, cool. Thanks, EA. So you've given us a unfinished pile of shit and a pile of shit full of microtransactions. Actually, to be fair, it's a good game, Battlefront 2. The combat's great, audio design's great. Base game is really good. It's just full of microtransactions, isn't it? And of course, in the Australian region, nobody plays it. So I can't play this game anymore because nobody else in Australia does. So we're dealing with this situation where they've completely mismanaged the EA brand. And you might be thinking, okay, well,
Star Wars brand.
Surely, maybe they just haven't had any good ideas, right? Surely they haven't had any good ideas about Star Wars. Now they have, mate. They've just been cancelling them all, haven't they?
I mean, it's not even about having good ideas. You've got a whole universe set out for you. So.
Oh, yeah. So this is where we want to talk about it, mate. So we'll go into this first. So Visceral, right? Visceral Games was the ambitious Star Wars adventure, and it was the one that I'll talk about that you might remember, Joe, is the one that was rumours about where it was supposed to be Star Wars but Uncharted. Now, this is the most recent cancelling. So, the pitch for this game was it was made by one of the directors of the Uncharted series, or the lead director was was involved in the Uncharted series. I'll just say that because I don't know the full title. So she was involved in the Uncharted series. They brought her on to do this Star Wars game, and it was an absolute train wreck. Now, there was a huge miscommunication between the EA executives and the people that were running this Star Wars brand, right? So it's been said many times before, but I just feel like this is ridiculous. So the whole point of this game, or the pitch for this game, was that it's about scoundrels and criminals in the Star Wars universe. Now that to me sounds great. Joe, are you agreed with me on this?
Yeah, it's something different.
Right. Do you need Jedi to be in this game?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody does, mate. No one from the Star Wars fan. Okay, maybe a few, but not the majority of the Star Wars fan base does not need to have Obi-Wan Kenobi killing people with a lightsaber in the game.
Children need lightsabers.
Yes. What we need is Star Wars. That's all. You could give me an absolute pile of shit. If it's Star Wars, I'll buy it and I'll complain about it, but I'll probably still play it non-stop because it's Star Wars. Okay? So you literally can't miss here, guys. You can't miss. And you just keep fucking missing. It's so hard. It's like, you know the old saying, you couldn't hit a broadside of a barn? That is EA, mate. It is. This barn is fucking huge. It's Bunnings Warehouse. It's Bunnings bloody warehouse, mate. They can't hit it. It's ridiculous. Like, please, guys, please. So they've said that. So the original pitches from Visceral staff who were making this game were they want to do it scoundrels and criminals. Now the EA people, the EA executives said, we want Force lightsabers. That's what we want. We want the Jedi.
We want to make it mainstream.
Yeah, we want to make it mainstream because it needs to sell as much as possible, right? And without that, it was also. And so there was that, right? And then the second thing was they were pushing Visceral to get a 90 or higher on Metacritic. That was what they needed. Now, okay, maybe you want to make a really good game. Fine. We'll give them 30 staff. So you're giving them 30 staff, constantly pressuring them for updates and giving them a really hard time schedule. And the head director said that the only way they'd be able to get this done is with a staff of 160. And you've given them 30, mate. So explain to me how this is good management at all. Please. I don't understand. So all of this goes down. It's been an absolute train wreck. Battlefront 2 comes out. Now, Battlefront 2... Oh, sorry. It would have been Battlefront. Battlefront, the first game, comes out. And obviously, it gets criticised to shit because it's not a game. It's half a game. So everybody's complaining about it. Now, rather than trying to improve themselves, EA decided to change the angle completely. And all future employees that were interviewing for this team that was working on the Star Wars game were told that there is no more positions available in that team. So EA effectively put a stop on the amount of employees that Visceral could have, pressuring them even further, right? And then I think there was something here. Let me try and find this. The best quote that I found, which was I'll try and find the exact quote, but I believe it was something along the lines of, so they were going into these EA pitches with the idea that, okay, Star Wars is a story. We're going to come in with a big story. It's going to be hugely story involved, and coming in with these sort of like, gameplay presentations. And the EA executives, according to a source from Visceral, had said in response to that, FIFA made $30 billion last year. Where's your version of that? So this is why I don't understand why we're in a situation where Disney has not removed their rights to this IP. If all of this isn't enough, then because
I don't care. They're still making money from this.
Yeah. So the ex EA heads, right, were the ones that signed this deal. EA is now under Wilson's leadership, and Wilson does not have any interest in the Star Wars IP. He has been quoted saying that he would prefer to work on the Anthem, the Titanfall, and the Battlefield. Here it is. No, it isn't. I'm trying to find this quote here so I can bring this up. But basically, he said he was more focused on the private IPs rather than Star Wars, and he doesn't fully agree with the deal that was made, or he's not happy with it. So, if the head of EA is saying he's not interested in Star Wars, they have cancelled a whole bunch of EA games. So this is not the only one. Visceral's game was cancelled. 1313, which was the Bounty Hunter game, was cancelled. There's been a whole bunch of games that have been cancelled by EA. They're notorious for doing this even outside of Star Wars. They just cancel studios like it ain't no thing. It's just ridiculous, the amount of, cancellation that they're doing here. Here we go, by the way. EA has been largely focused on franchises that the publisher owns, including Titanfall, Battlefield, and the soon-to-be-released Anthem. So that was the quote. So it's just really questionable to me why EA is still in possession of this Star Wars IP.
Because I paid for it.
Right.
I mean, it's just all got to do with money at this point.
But, exactly, money. So, there's no way they're making money out of this deal right now. Especially Disney.
There is.
Especially Disney. Because Disney signed this deal under the prefaces that they wanted to put a big focus on the game part of the video game industry of Star Wars. Right? They wanted a lot of games. 2 games in the last 5 years, mate. There's no way they're happy with this. There's no way they are. So why, if the EA director is not interested in Star Wars, and EA have continually trashed this Star Wars brand into the ground, surely, if there's any clause whatsoever in that contract that allows you to pull out of that, you would do that now. Because it is clear that both parties are not benefiting from this. You're not getting any money out of it.
I think EA is, though.
But how would they? Out of the Star Wars deal, how would they be making any money?
Do you think they've made money off of both the Battlefronts?
Oh, I think it's been a colossal failure. I think the first one didn't do well at all because of all of the I don't think they sold very well after the initial purchase, and then the second game, their stock market went down. I think a significant amount because of all the microtransaction drama, right? So I don't think they would, if they might have, they might have gone even, but I don't think they've made profit out of this. Could you imagine? Okay, so I'll put it this way, right? Could you imagine how much money they would have paid to get this Star Wars brand?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just at this point. It's kind of, I don't know. I just don't even know what to say about it.
Yeah. I just feel like...
Well, the only thing I could think about was that EA didn't care because they'd made their money, but...
I just can't
imagine...
Now that
I think about it, there's no way after Battlefront 2 they actually made the money back.
Yeah, because it's like, I can't imagine how much money they would have had to pay to get this brand. There's no way it's been worth it for them. Not with the amount of games they've released. 2, mate. There's no way. No way. Hence why I would imagine that's why those EA executives are constantly asking, where's your version of the FIFA? We need to make money out of this. I think
that means that the only reason that Disney would still be there is either there's no way they can get out of this now, or that EA has promised something.
Yeah.
And
unless it's
there is something coming up.
I mean, unless it's just more mismanagement. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you only have to look at the bloody movies to know that it's clearly not going. It's not shiny suns over there, is it? That's not a term. You get my point. It's not shiny days over in Star Wars land right now.
No, it's not sunning rainbows over there.
How much money did they lose off that Han Solo movie? Oh, jeez. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going well for them. And I hope to God that this does not mean that they're just going to give up on this franchise now.
Hey, I mean, look, CD Projekt Red, looking at you now.
We are. Hey, CD Projekt Red, I'm so excited for Cyberpunk, but if you could get a hold of the Star Wars brand and just make some quick texture changes, think I'd be buying that game a little bit harder. At this point, please, I'll have anything. Something needs to happen, right? Surely, if I have any kind of franchise right now, I'm looking at CD Projekt Red. I feel like those are the guys right now that you look to make a serious, solid game. 100%. Do you think there's anybody that could compete with them?
No. No one has competed with them.
Not in recent past, anyway. Or in recent time. It's just not been... They've just been so far ahead of everyone else with their games. So
I can't name a single standout game besides Witcher from the last 5 years.
I would agree with you. It's very clear that those are the guys you go to right now. And I'm really happy about it as well, because obviously they're not... I don't think they were the biggest studio ever, so it's nice to see that they're now going to get that attention there, and they are probably the number one. I think if there's any AAA developer right now that I trust to make a good game, it is them. Because it used to be Bethesda, and then Fallout 76 happened. I was going to say 4, but then I was like...
Fallout 4 did happen, but...
Yeah, I mean... It wasn't... Okay, it lowered my hopes, but I didn't just totally give up on it. Fallout 76 came out, and I was like, do you know what I mean? Like, ooh, that was rough. So, oh geez. So, yeah. With that all being said, I think we've gone way over an hour. So, we did well. I don't know, we come into this every time being like... Oh,
how are we going to make it?
But there's no way we're going to make it an hour. And then we get to like an hour and 20 minutes and it's like, oh, well, we got to shut up now. Otherwise, we're never going to finish. So, and I'm never going to upload this long ass YouTube video. So, regardless, thank you guys all for coming to listen. If you did make it through however long this podcast is now.
God bless you.
Yeah, God bless you. We'll be doing I'll be doing another one. I don't know if Joe will be joining me later on this week, which will focus, I think, it might not focus, but we're going to talk about the UFC 234 card because there's a lot of excitement coming out of that, and obviously whatever goes on in the CS region. So that will come out around Saturday, I would imagine, which would get us back up to date on the weekly uploads. So thank you guys all for tuning in. If you did make it this far. And we'll see you guys all next time. Thank you, and we'll see you later.